So, and typically bird field guides, for those of, most of you will be familiar with field guides, I guess, but those of you who are not, typically field guides are really, they have limited information about each bird, but they do have some descriptions of how it looks, so pictures, and then some identification information, and also distribution lists, so that if you see similar species and you're in a certain area, you can also sometimes already exclude species from that. It could be that bird based on the distribution list. What I like specifically about this one is that, especially for all the raptors, there's a lot of pictures of the raptors in flight as well. Because what you've seen if you're on the drives and you see vultures and things like, most of the time you'll see them flying overhead, so you see the underside of their wings, or the same goes for other birds of prey. So you can also start recognizing flight patterns. Here's a page on some kingfishers, for instance. So that's actually quite handy. But again, as I said, it's definitely not the only good one in South Africa. There's also the Newman's Bird Guide of South Africa. My partner Renee typically uses the Newman's. Not because she likes it better or I like this one better, but we have different ones. And sometimes one bird is portrayed better in one or than in the other one. So if we use them both together, we actually maximize our use of them. And as I said, the Roberts also has a field guide that came out just recently. Yeah, those are actually the ones that I use typically for my birds. Let me just, in the meantime, just keep pressing the computer button. Set up multiple displays. Yeah, in South Africa, of course, there are many more animals than just birds. So there's lots of other things that you can do as well. One very general that I like to take with me, if I just go for a short trip and I have to go on a plane where you're always limited on luggage that you can take with you and hand luggage. It's called The Wildlife of Southern Africa. And it's a field guide to the animals and plants of the region, which has per species actually quite limited information. I'll show you a little bit, for instance, just about birds. You see there's a lot of species on one page. But for that, in one little very handy book, it's got not just one group of animals, it's got basically all of them. It's got birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, invertebrates, fish, and not just animals but also plants, trees. So it's actually very handy if you just can't take a lot of luggage with you, or you just want to keep this, for instance, in your car if you're driving around. It's a very handy book. It doesn't have all the species because some of the rarer species have been omitted just for space's sake. But all of the common ones are in there with a little bit of information, and so it's actually quite a handy book to have with you at all times. Okay. Yeah, another one actually that I haven't used as much as I probably should have, and that's called Field Guide to the Trees of Southern Africa, which is a very handy book for identifying all the trees in South Africa. It has pictures on it, again, even for trees, distribution lists, descriptions. It's a bit of a technical book, but it helps in identifying it. And as with, it's typical for trees, and I'm just going to come back on that at some time. There's a special trick to determining trees based on arrangements of leaves and spines and thorns and other things, and the flowers as well, whether they're single or multiple. And based on that, if you have a little piece of a tree, a little branch, you can already identify the tree to quite some extent. So that's one for trees. But as I said, I haven't used it a lot, but I'm definitely actually planning on taking it out with me and learning more about that part of nature. Just quickly. Ah, that's better. Okay, let me just let me see what did I show you so far. Okay, let me just show you one more, and then I'll go back a little bit to the GPS map. One other book that I typically like to use is called Smithers' Mammals of Southern Africa, a field guide. And again, this is a field guide based on a much more extensive, almost encyclopedic work of mammals of South Africa, and it has very nice descriptions and drawings and distribution maps of all the mammals of Southern Africa in this case. Very nice book. What it also has, and that's one of the things actually I was, based on my own pictures, doing as well, is which is very handy, I believe. See that? It has pages where it compares the size of us humans to some of the animals that we see, so that you can get a better feel of actually. Say if you say an animal is 50 centimeters shoulder height, what does it mean? But if you compare it in a picture to this, like a normal human, it will give you a much better idea about how big or how small animals are. That's one of the things I was doing when my computer acted up earlier today. But sometimes in one of the shows next week, I will definitely come back on that and also have some guides that I will afterwards then post. So if Peter or Rexen mentioned on the drive that this animal is about this big, that you can have some reference about how that actually compares to a human, or whether how a lion compares to a leopard, or all this kind of little, I would say, helps in visualizing things. Yeah, let me see. I think you're almost there. Let me just quickly see if this works now. If I press 5, you should actually get my computer screen. No. Now that's it. Okay, let me now quickly get to Wild Earth. And again, the way to find the GPS map is if you go to resources on the Wild Earth, either the wildearth.tv website or the wildearth.ning.com social network. You can go to live GPS map. Select that, and then the map will show up. As you will see, it will show us the location that the Jigga is actually currently parked in our garage. But for what I want to show you, that actually doesn't really matter. So yeah, okay, then this map shows up. Again, most of you will by now recognize this. This is the area that we traverse in. The northern boundary road, here's Cheetah Cut Line, here's Gowrie Main, and here's our western boundary road. And here somewhere in the center is where our final control is. Now if you look at the map here, it's mostly I think straightforward, but just, to be sure, you can use the arrows to move the map around a little bit, up, down, left, right, speaks for itself, or to zoom in. When that loads, it's a bit closer version, or zoom out again. If you click on the little pin here, you should get a username Wild Earth, that's us, and when the position was last updated. That's also handy sometimes, because sometimes if our internet doesn't work, we can't, also the update for the GPS doesn't work. So that, let's say if we're out on a game drive this afternoon and it's 5 o'clock, and you click on this and you see last update still 8:29 on the 29th of October, then you'll know that actually the GPS is not coming through. And looking at this, I think we forgot to switch it on this morning, because 29th of October was before we actually stopped our streaming. Again, the GPS, it's something new, so we have to get used to actually, because we have to manually switch it on the vehicle before we go off on a game drive. It's not possible to do it automatically, and sometimes, if we go out like this morning, we were actually quite eager to go out, and then sometimes that gets overlooked. But if that does happen, please feel free to remind us at final control at wildearth.tv, and then we will switch it on. But we will get better at that. It's just something new that we have to get used to.